And then we have our start, our stop, and our pause button. And again, the on-off button is up here. The secret code, write this down so you don't forget it, is just that top button 4 times. And now if you look at the, if you can see the screen, what we see on the top, the big numbers, we have time on the left, we have dosage on the right. And if you look at the dosage right now, it just says joules. Okay? We don't want to be on the joules. Right? We want to be on joules per centimeter squared. So we don't want to be on the joules here. You got to watch because that hurts. That can hurt.
That's my hair.
So now we know joules there.
What's the hertz setting?
Take your hair with it.
I get the hertz. Oh, hertz.
Yeah.
Do that again in the 10 o'clock class. I'll get it quicker later in the day. At the 3 o'clock spot on our main controller, you see a little thing that says joules/joules per centimeter squared. So make sure you're on joules per centimeter squared, okay, in display. It makes a difference because the joules per centimeter squared is going to take the total output and spread it out over the size of the sound head. And it's going to make a big difference. And again, you'll play around with that when you're doing this and you'll see that the time changes. As a rule of thumb, right, it's about, I think, it's about 7 seconds. It's about 7 seconds per joule, right? So if you set the machine up and you have a time of like 3 seconds, something's really wrong, right? If I'm doing something that's 4 or 8 joules and it's not around a minute, 40 seconds to a minute, you should be suspicious that you've done something incorrect, right? So we make sure our display, our output is on joules per centimeter squared. So we have our time and our joules. Down on the bottom left is our pulsing frequency, and at the 9 o'clock spot is how we change the pulsing frequency. And we have some selections, and I don't know why they have these particular numbers, but you can have it on continuous, which we probably shouldn't use because that could burn the patient. We have 8, 16, 20, 500, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, and 10,000. Okay. General rule: the dividing line between high frequency and low frequency is about 500. So if you want to kind of hedge your bet, don't know what you're doing, leave it at 500. If you want to be a little more specific, I would go up to 1,000 or 2,000 for the high frequency, and I would go down to below 250 or 200 or somewhere around there for the low frequency. Again, if you want to be really deep, go down to like 8 hertz on this machine. If you want to be real superficial, go for 10,000. Okay.
Like tattoos are a no-go with this, right?
So, that's very good, right? Tattoos are a problem. Modern tattoo pigments are probably okay. I mean, that's a real issue, right? Because where do a lot of people like to have tattoos? Right? On their back. And
hey, I have one there. I'm just kidding.
So you do need to be cautious. I myself have always just stayed away from them. Again, modern pigments tend not to be as absorptive. Why can't I say the word? Anyway.
We know.
However, if you get that guy from World War II or Korea that's got that nice, dark blue mermaid, I would be very cautious of that. Okay. Again, I would stay away because 1, you could burn the patient. 2, you could wreck their tattoo, and they'd probably be really pissed if suddenly it said, I love like mine says. So ready to begin. So let's, for example, let's say we've got carpal tunnel syndrome. Carpal tunnel is what kind of condition is carpal tunnel?
Inflammation.
Right. It's a neuropathy. So we're going to want to be somewhere between 10 to 12 joules per centimeter squared. Is the treatment area superficial or deep?
Superficial.
Right, superficial, maybe, again, we're talking about, and probably, again, only a 1/4 inch or so below the surface. Maybe if you got a big wrist, maybe 1/2 inch to get to the median nerve. So relatively superficial, and so I would probably go with a moderately high frequency.